Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome to the legendary Pocono Raceway. It's the Prime Meridian Racing League, PMRL, Season 1, Round 6. It's Wednesday, August 4th, and I appreciate all of you joining us from around the world to watch us on the YouTube channel live, as well as catching up on it if you didn't catch it live. Hello again, my name is Trevor Greenfield from VirtualRacing.Network. I've been your host and commentator all season, starting with round 3. So if you miss any season races for the PMRL, you can go back and catch that. In the meantime, we're just about to go and qualify here at Pocono. As we get ready to do that, we actually did a quick... I had a chance to step into a race car, into a Dallara IR18 IndyCar, and go out there and give it a shot. And, well, see if we can get this up on the screen here, and we'll be able to show you what it's like to do a lap of qualifying here at Pocono. All right, here we go. A little burnout and getting up to speed as fast as we can. Head straight out onto the track. Don't even need to take to that exit road. Most leagues and the official series not mandating that you use that. And that can cause a problem later in the race with somebody exiting with low speed onto a track with everybody just diving into the corner at over 200 miles an hour. But nevertheless, we get up to speed as fast as we can over the tunnel turn, heading towards turn 3. And we go out wide, and there's so many different strategies on how you want to run your first lap. But this lap, we're going to do a pretty traditional qualifying lap. Carry as much speed as we can through the corner, stay real high on entry here into 1. Now, because it is a brisk 6:30 in the morning for the start time for the PMRL race, we are able to run a lot lower of an apex and hug the corner a little bit more because we have that extra grip. Tires are not going to be overheating. So we're going to try and take a nice tight apex, go out wide on entry, but take a nice tight apex, kind of fight with the car in the middle of the corner. This is the baseline setup. See what kind of time we can put in. 0.450. So I'm sure the PMRL competitors will be able to do better than that with the custom set. But either way, fun lap around Pocono, very fast. And as we come back to the live shot here, we're just about to see some of the cars, the competitors, come out for qualifying. So I think we've got, let's see here, we've got Connor Pearson making his way out for his first lap. A lot of cars heading out onto the track at the moment. Take a look at the temperature, just 74 degrees, as I mentioned. The time right now, the sim time, 7 o'clock on August 4th today. So 7 o'clock in the morning, so very cool temperatures, and we're only seeing about a 7-8 mile an hour cross breeze there. So as Connor Pearson brings that car up to speed in through turn 1 and heads through turn 2, or heads towards turn 2, the infamous tunnel turn, see what kind of times he can put in. We'll get our ticker up there so that you can see as drivers start to put in their laps where they will qualify for today's race. So a lot of things to talk about today. Last week, of course, Will Lyon taking not only the victory, but taking the eventual points lead. And so we'll be getting to that in just a moment. But we'll watch Connor Pearson continue to work this car around. Let's go on board with Connor. Watch him put in his laps. First lap, good enough for third fastest thus far. Actually, now moving down to fourth fastest as Matthew Turner takes over first quickest on the board. Thomas Christensen a second place. Jesper Orman third. So Christensen now in the pits, perhaps only doing the 1 lap. Now you could do 1 lap, you can do 2 laps, depends on how you want to fuel it up for today's race or how you want to strategize your qualifying session. But looks like Matthew Turner thus far fastest. See if Turner is just about to turn in his second lap. We watch him as he comes over the line. And actually does not improve that lap. No surprise there. Jesper Orman on his cool down lap. He'll take third thus far. Got Taylor Mills. He's done one lap and he'll call it quits. Oscar Fredrickson now in 6th place. Can he do better on his second lap? On board, and no, he elects to pull it in. So now Andreas Eick slots his name into 6th place up on the board. See if the Team Talent driver can manage to get a little bit faster than that. Of course, it won't matter that much. Pocono being and of course, just as I say that, Andreas Eick deciding to pull it in. Just as I suspected, a number of these drivers really electing to just get in the one lap. Some drivers do see that they can maybe get in a second lap, as we see Christian Malkorek on the screen having completed his second lap. And so we will await the final running order here before announcing who has pole position. There are several drivers who have not yet completed. Here's one, Tim Miller out on track. Matthew Levine also just having completed his first lap, only good enough for 18th spot. Matthew Levine. Tim Miller on your screen has already done one lap, and I guess it didn't register or perhaps had contact. He's completing his second lap for Slow and Steady Racing. One of just a couple of Americans in the field, but up there in the points, and Tim looking to pull it in, not getting an official qualifying time there. So we do have a championship leader, one of the championship leader, David Soranzo, out on track at the moment. Can he possibly steal pole position for today's Pocono race? And not exactly pole position, but good enough for 11th fastest. Just 2/10 off of pole position, but those 2/10 are anything, so are everything. So we watched David Soranzo there, and I think we lost. Oh, that was the end of qualifying. So the end of qualifying catches David Soranzo not able to get in his second or his final lap. Timing is everything, folks. You only get the 8 minutes. So we'll take a look at the qualifying results, and it's none other than Matthew Turner, who manages to, and I just want to verify this. In fact, Matthew Turner contacted me just before the race and said, yeah, I'm coming back. I only do the ovals and, took a couple of races off. So I just wanted to come back, and I think he came back at the right time, because he takes pole position for round 6 here at Pocono for the PMRL as the drivers head out in the background for their 5-minute warm-up. Thomas Christensen, 2nd place for Three Crowns Racing. Jesper Orman also 3 Crowns Racing. So those drivers really, really happy, I'm sure, to qualify as well as they have. Connor Pearson in 4th place. Taylor Mills 5th. Andreas Eick 6th. Oscar Fredrickson 7th. Mark Johnston there in 8th. Max Hawk in 9th. Alex Salmon in 10th. So a couple of your championship contenders going to be starting a little bit further back. We would have expected some of these drivers to qualify a little bit better, but David Soranzo and Alex Salmon, 2 major championship leaders, they're going to have to come way forward here. Christian Malkorek in 12th. Sam Blackwood 13th, as you see there. Klessens, Grossberger, Philip Lee, one of our championship leaders, also mired with a back of the field starting position for today's race. Pascal Ebner, Mark Hutchinson showing very well last week. Unfortunately, not able to convert that into qualifying speed this week. And then you see the last of the running order: Matthew Levine, Magnus Anderson, Tim Miller, and of course Jessica Sabin not racing, one of the administrators. So Mark Cadmore also not getting in a qualifying time. And give me while I look over live on in the room, but I don't know. Yeah, so we were trying to get Mark Cadmore's, I'm not sure why Mark Cadmore's livery didn't show up beforehand. We apologize for that. We'll try to get that straightened out for the next race. Just looking to see if he had posted that in the PMRL chat room, but unfortunately not. So just part of the technical stuff that we do here to make sure that all of you fans at home get a chance to see everything bright and shiny and new and clear, just the way the teams and drivers would want us to do, but doesn't always work out. So nevertheless, we have about 1 minute and 47 seconds remaining here in the warm-up. Perfect time for us to go ahead and take a look at the current championship standings. So after 5 rounds, and I'd like to thank Vilda Wallen of the PMRL for supplying the standings graphics. She does a great job each and every week. And so they're, yeah, I just really appreciate Vilda putting in that work. We can just translate it straight over. They look great. So here you can see Will Lyon taking over the championship points lead after this last week, fighting very hard. Salmon dropping a position and Philip Lee also dropping a position. So now David Soranzo was in 4th, stays in 4th, but Andreas Eich also climbing up, and a number of names starting to drop down. George Whitehouse, we actually have not seen for a few races. Not sure what's going on there, but he's dropping down the championship order. Also, Connor Pearson dropping down in the points. It's really easy to do so. Unfortunately, in these races, you just have one rough race and you drop down in those points. But Sam Blackwood there in 8th, Matthew Levine in 9th, and Jesper Orman round out your top 10. Truly international field here, quite amazing. I think I counted 17 different flags represented in the field. Pretty astounding. Here, of course, are the team standings also after round 5, with SMS Racing climbing back up on top of putting TM Racing there into 2nd, Team Spirit Box, Wyvern Racing with O'Connor Moore, and Slow and Steady Racing hanging out right where they were the week before. So we've got 0 time left in this warm-up, and I think we all know what that means. We are headed for gridding up and then the eventual green flag here at Pocono. Legendary track. Been around since the 60s. I had my notes pulled up here. It was actually designed in by 1959 and 1962 Indianapolis 500 winner Roger Ward. So the legend Roger Ward designing this track as the drivers get ready to grid up here. You know, it's no surprise. It was designed for Indy cars. It races just awesome with Indy cars. It is, it's wide, it's fast. It's also a track that can do its damage on tires. Today, we're not really expecting very hot temperatures, so that likely won't be an issue. You can see that we're having some audio issues. Hopefully that's better now in the chat. Hopefully we'll get, for the race, we'll have all the audio for the cars. Apologize for that. So many toggles and switches to make sure that we get right. If you guys have anything to say, now's the time to let us know over the chat room. If you're here waiting for or watching and rooting on a driver of your choice, let us know. If you're part of a team, if you're friends and family, let us know who you're rooting for in the YouTube chat room. But as I was saying, Pocono is a place that can tear through tires. However, today, due to the weather, we're not really expecting that. Should be much easier on tires, and so hopefully what we'll see is a lot of great drafting battle action, and that is what Pocono has been and can definitely be. Of course, your strategy for the race determining if it goes green flag or not, and how long it goes green flag for, all of that matters, because you'll either be fuel saving, or if it's a run to the checkered flag at the end, we might have that great shootout that we're really looking for and hoping for each time. So anyway, it should be a fantastic race no matter how you look at it. A lot of high-speed corners and fast action. We're going to go down to track side, get ready to go, as Matthew Turner leads us and the rest of the PMRL field to the green flag. So Matthew Turner gets ready to take us to the green flag, leading Thomas Christensen and Jesper Orman. The pace lights are off on the pace car. We get set to go. We look from Connor Pearson's point of view in 4th place. When will Matthew Turner step on the gas and go? And he doesn't. So quick. Connor Pearson tries the outside. It's a bold move, but it doesn't work. We take a look at them as they all head towards turn 1. It's 4-5 wide. And there you can see on the outside, it's Mills and Orman fighting it out for second. It is anyone's guess as to who is where as you look back through the field. There you can see a challenge for the lead. Taylor Mills trying on the outside of Matthew Turner, unable to get it done through tunnel turn. That the site of where Robert Wickens had his crash not long ago. Mills now takes the lead on the outside through turn 3. Bold move as the drivers file in. So Turner slots back into second, and now we see Jesper Orman trying to make his move up into second place. Back into second place, that is. And he manages to do so, puts Matthew Turner back 1 spot. As the drivers file down through the tunnel turn, high speed. You can see Thomas Christensen also has dropped back a couple of spots. And there you can see on the outside, Christensen hanging on, trying to challenge Matthew Turner there for third, excuse me. It's changing so quickly, it's difficult to tell. And just as I was saying that, you probably saw it on the screen before I did. Jesper Orman takes over the lead on lap 3. Now Taylor Mills dives back to the inside. He'll take over the lead, headed into tunnel turn. It's changing faster than we can keep up here. Well, we wanted a battle. We got it right out of the gate with Taylor Mills jumping up into the lead from his 5th place starting position. So we see some more action happening. Matthew Turner and Thomas Christensen battling hard side by side, 3rd and 4th place. And we saw another car a little bit further back having issues, perhaps getting up a little bit high, but so we take a look back through the field. It's Andreas Ike up a position in 5th, Oscar Fredrickson in 6th, Alex Salmon in 7th, up 3 spots so far. Actually now fighting side by side with Connor Pearson for that 7th position. And there we see a driver. It's Thomas Klessens into the pits. This was definitely not expected. Perhaps he tweaked that wing or got it loose in a corner. Either way, coming into the pits. Back out on track, it's Taylor Mills who leads on to lap 5. And Jesper Orman hanging tight in 2nd. Thomas Christensen in 3rd. So about nothing has changed, with the exception of Jesper Orman and Christensen changing spots, and Taylor Mills coming from 4 spots back to take the lead. So once again, so glad to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. This is the Prime Meridian Racing League. And we're seeing a good battle already shaping up here in Pocono. As they head into turn 1 on lap 6. Mills pushing up the track just a little bit. You can see Orman doing the same thing. We go back on board. So take a look at Orman. sizing up the competition perhaps, or perhaps content to just let Taylor run out in front and save some fuel. That definitely seems to be the MO of most drivers in the field. But either way, you gotta make sure that you don't lose too much time, and even if you are fuel saving, want to make sure that nobody is right on your back. And fortunately for Jesper Orman, he's got his teammate just behind him, Thomas Christensen. When we take a look back from Thomas Christensen, it looks like Matthew Turner pretty happy to just stay in line now. He's not trying to battle back for position, so we kind of get a little bit more settled down, and perhaps Andreas Eick will have a look, but either way, the car's starting to slot in to a little bit more of single file running. Matthew Turner getting a little bit wide there. We've got some side-by-side action happening just behind. It's Oscar Fredrickson, excuse me, and Sam Blackwood fighting it out there for a spot. So Fredrickson down a spot from where he began the day, but Blackwood already up 4 spots just behind and looking to make up even more ground. So we see Matthew Levine, actually David Soranzo there on the inside in the blue and red car, one of your championship leaders. So we take a look back at the front, and as we could just see, it's Andreas Eick on the outside of Matthew Turner. Turner falls back from the pole position now into 5th, as Taylor Mills has now taken over has continued his lead. But now Jesper Orman makes his move down the inside out of turn 1. Will he file back in place? He does. So this battle extremely tight, as you can see. Basically 6 cars all duking it out for first, and there a couple of cars that had slid back a little bit are right back in the picture. So you can see it's about 10 cars all within throwing distance of that leader, Taylor Mills. Taylor Mills leading it, Jesper Orman 2nd, Christensen 3rd, Eick 4th, Turner 5th. And it's changing faster than that, as we can see just a little bit back. It's Matthew Turner trying to now get back on the inside of Andreas Eick. Not able to do so. That's left him exposed to Connor Pearson, in fact. And Connor Pearson now going down the inside of Andreas Eick, not able to make it work. It almost looked like they made contact there. Very close racing. So we can see Matthew Turner dropping further and further back, perhaps not able to adjust his tools the same way that others are in the league. There you can see it's changing so quickly. Very difficult to pick out who we should show on screen, but Sam Blackwood making his way forward, gained 6 spots so far. Is he the one to watch? Is it championship contender Alex Salmon, who was in the lead of this championship? Maybe he tastes that sweet championship and he wants it back. He's going for it, as this is just insane action here in the 6th round of the Prime Meridian Racing League at Pocono. I hope you're enjoying it, as we are side by side for the lead. It looks like lap 1 as Connor Pearson goes past them all into turn 1 and into the lead. Now Mills dives back on the outside. He'll take back the lead. It's Mills and Pearson battling. It's Pearson back to the inside over the tunnel turn. They go 3 wide behind, and we've got Sam Blackwood involved in a crash. Several cars might have been a part of that. I'm seeing Alex Salmon, once your championship leader, now one of his tires off of that car, still able to drive it around with the 3 wheels. Now it's possible it's actually better than that, because the damage is not always the same on everybody's screen, but we do not go yellow. No yellow flags. So this one has changed quite a bit, as they were They were simply all getting too close together there. Too many cars trying to fit into the same place at the same time. And we can see Sam Blackwood now into the pits and struggling to get that thing stopped in the correct pit stall for Wyvern Racing. Now going down a lap. It's a difficult day for him, as well as Alex Salmon, who looks like will also fall down a lap. But Connor Pearson continues on lap 14. We will go back and take a look and see if we can figure out where that possibly happened for Alex Salmon. So Salmon to the inside there. I don't think it was Salmon who caused any of that. It probably, we'll look at it from Blackwood's point of view and see if we can catch what's happened. Backing it up on screen. So Blackwood diving, trying to take another car, making it 3 wide there into the tunnel turn, and then pushing out a little bit, making contact with another car. We'll back it up just a little bit more and see if we can tell once again. I think there was just too little room, and he kind of checked up a little bit, and unfortunately for Blackwood, that not only ruined his day, but it affected a couple of others as well. So we'll go back to the live picture, and there on your screen you see Connor Pearson, your leader. Came from 4th place, and now he is in the front. I tell you what, this has just been, it's almost felt like several races running where this has just been waiting to happen. Connor Pearson showing so well at Indy, having numerous top finishes, just looking like he would be coming forward as he tries to work around the now lap car of Sam Blackwood, or actually no, down 2 laps Sam Blackwood. But Connor Pearson, it just looked like, especially as we were going to be returning to ovals, might be able to challenge for the lead more regularly, and possibly might be able to challenge for this championship. That waits to be seen, but if he keeps having races like these, he will be looking good. Just as I say that, Taylor Mills in 2nd place. He's come forward 3 spots today, and he certainly has made a name for himself, trying to show that he can not only lead one of these races, getting so close, so very close to the now lap car of Sam Blackwood, who was just in this leading championship fight, or leading race fight here, but unfortunately he's out. Looks like they got that car repaired very well though, because he is holding time on those fresh tires with Taylor Mills. So Mills does clear him and now sets his sights back up on Connor Pearson. And again, same question is for Mills. Do you want to go to the lead, or do you want to try to fuel save? As he drifts a little wide there. Of course, as I mentioned before, numerous lines available through turn 3. I mean, really depending on what's going on with your car and how it's handling for you, you've got multiple different line options through all 3 corners, and how your weight jacker is configured, etc. So, based on that, this is a very flexible track. I mean, you can certainly try to hit the same exact corners and marks every single time, but depending on what traffic is doing, it's really nice to be able to take an inside or an outside line, choose to race too wide or not, and of course many tracks we just don't have that capability. So that's part of what makes Pocono so awesome for these racers. Here we take a look at Jesper Orman, and we can see Taylor Mills making his move down into turn 1 on Connor Pearson. A very late move. Tucks back in behind. Not sure if that was an intentional pass or if that was just trying to wait it out and see whether there would be an opportunity or not. Mills hanging out behind Pearson, showing his nose. Little tricky to tell whether or not. And there goes Blackwood trying to get his lap back. You see Thomas Christensen, they're covering the inside. As Pearson dives and swerves towards the middle of the track, trying to break that toe of Taylor Mills. Definitely been in that position before, not in a fixed race, but in an open race, and it is not easy to break that toe. Can be done if you get a little bit of help, and possibly if that driver didn't get such a good run, you can maybe try to break that toe. But you can see here, Orman and Christensen kind of fighting it out there, third and fourth. Now, these two are teammates, so whether they're just swapping or they're actually trying to pass each other, I'm sure they're just swapping and arranging how they want to. Here's Andreas Ike and Oscar Fredrickson, two exciting drivers to watch in the field. Of course, Ike racing for Team Talent. And Fredrickson with the VOR car there. These two drivers doing well each week. Ike always finds himself. It's like no matter what league I'm calling, no matter what series it is, if Ike is in it, he's a championship or he is a race contender. So you've always got to keep your eye out on him. You take a look at Taylor Mills, who is battling the lap car of Sam Blackwood. Again, these, if you're a lap car, you are allowed to battle with the leader. You are allowed to try to get your lap back, but you cannot impede the leaders. So, and there he's drifting up the track. Mills almost into Blackwood. I have no idea how that did not wreck both of those drivers. Very, very, very close. So we look back and we can see David Soranzo making a move down the inside of Max Hawk. Not able to pull it off. And there you see Christian Malcorrect just behind. This is for 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th place. Have to mention it because, wow, it's 4 cars in such a close span. It's getting very, very close back there between Malcorrect and Mark Hutchinson. Malcorrect racing for Last Lap Motorsports, Spark VR, and not able to get around Max Hawk there, just fighting it out. They're side by side as Soranzo not able to get around. Malcorrect, the only Last Lap Motorsport driver in the field. But Hutchinson having a great race a week ago, all kind of went awry towards the end. But Hutchinson is making his way forward each and every week, and I think it's a name that we're going to be calling a lot more of as we go forward. So we see Malcorrect and Hutchinson getting by Soranzo. Soranzo kind of going up the track a little bit. But we look back up at the front, and it's still kind of messy, but it's still the same running order. It's Connor Pearson with Sam Blackwood, who was running up in the front before, now making these leaders really have to pay for lapping him as he continues to mix it up with the leaders in the 27 car. Meanwhile, Taylor Mills in second. Jesper Orman, who you see fourth on the screen there, is actually third on track. Right on board with Jesper. So in the meantime, You can see up front, it's Taylor Mills who's gone back to the lead. And just as I say that, it's Connor Pearson who just refuses to let go of that lead. I guess he doesn't want to fuel save, and I guess Taylor Mills is done with fuel saving. So they're going to battle it out. So here goes Taylor down the inside, in through the tunnel turn. And Connor has to back out of it. Amazing side-by-side stuff here for PMRL round 6. Taylor tries it again on the outside as Connor takes the inside. Connor actually now into the pits. So that was a very, very quick pit in for Mr. Pearson. Not sure if he called that one out. Boy, if I was chasing from behind and I was Mills, I would have been scared to see that car just dart to the left like that. But either way, Mills continuing on with Blackwood there sitting in the second spot, but a couple laps down. Jesper Orman in second, Thomas Christensen in third, Andreas Eich in fourth. Up 2 spots today, Fredrickson hanging on in fifth. Any one of these drivers, as well as Mark Johnston, just behind. It's pretty amazing. We haven't been calling Mark Johnston's name very much, as Taylor Mills is now into the pits, but Johnston has made his way up into the top of the running order. So there's another name to watch out for that's kind of come out of nowhere. So we've got Taylor Mills in. We continue this battle up at the front with Jesper Orman actually the leader, but hanging out behind Sam Blackwood, just trying to fuel save. Blackwood being so kind as to hang up there at the front and provide a nice wall of air for these drivers to take their foot out of the gas and do some fuel saving. So Orman and Christensen at this moment, the Three Crown Racing drivers with IAR, are content to sit where they are, but obviously just behind, guess who is not? Oscar Fredrickson getting by Andreas Eich on the inside. They're now side by side. Actually, Fredrickson diving back, or going back out of that pass. So these drivers all so close here. It's anyone's guess as to, as we see a number of drivers peeling off in the back there. We've got David Soranzo in the pits, Michael Grossberger in the pits, Max Hawk, Magnus Anderson just coming back out, Tim Miller coming out, Oscar Fredrickson just dove in, Mark Johnston into the pits, Malkarek and Hutchinson also in the pits. So these drivers will put this track map up there. Seems to be a hit. They'll put their initials in there. Hopefully that's big enough for you. So you can see where your favorite driver is on the track at the moment. Orman continues around, so the timing of these cautions and when you take tires is super crucial. Some drivers electing to stay out, and some coming in at the earlier portion of the race. Again, if you're breaking it up into 3, lap 33 would be about the right lap to come in on. Perhaps one of them you could go into lap 34. So you can see this is a bunch of traffic for these drivers to have to work through. This is not really what you want to see if you're Jesper Orman and Thomas Christensen. This is going to slow you down, and so we see Jesper Orman peeling off, heading into the pits. Christensen and Eich continuing on track. Now, my guess is they are going to be slowed down by this traffic, and that will allow some other drivers to perhaps open up a little bit of a gap, as it looks like Taylor Mills will be the first driver a lap down to perhaps challenge for that. You can see on your screen there as Thomas Christensen now in the lead with Andreas Eich in second. Eich, the Christensen, the black and white silver car, and Ike there in the orange, black, and silver. They both pull into the pits. And that allows Connor Pearson, who's just gotten by Taylor Mills, to take over the lead. So this 3-car group here has pitted. Pearson, Mills, and Levine have all pitted. And they have taken over the lead as we wait for this to stabilize a bit, but it's the group with Mark Johnston, Oscar Fredrickson, Jesper Orman, David Soranzo, all those drivers losing out on that round of pit stops. As you can see there on your screen, Mark Johnston in the pink and white machine back there, all those drivers losing out. Now 2 seconds, over 2 seconds gap between them. So we look at Thomas Christensen, who now comes up again over 2 seconds after his pit stop back from Matt Levine. So now your running order: Connor Pearson in first, Taylor Mills in second, and Matthew Levine through some crazy pit strategy. Let's see here. Last, Matthew Levine coming in on lap 27. It's saying that he came in on lap 27 and he has gained 16 positions. I'm not sure that's right, and I don't have a statistician to double check for me. But if that's true, that is absolutely astounding for Matt Levine, if he is in fact on that same strategy, pit strategy, essentially as the other two. However, Matt Levine did come in a couple of laps earlier than these two. So it's a question mark as to whether these two in front can actually make it to the end, as they came in on lap 28 and 29, with the majority of the rest of the field making it to lap 31, 33, and 34. See if we can show some of that stuff up on the screen. So there you can compare the top 10's laps, and you can see that most of these drivers who are now in the top 5 actually pitted at least a couple of laps. In the case of Levine and Pearson, like how many laps? Good 6 laps, 5 laps before these two drivers. So if it goes green the whole way and the fuel numbers are how they look, essentially it's Christensen and Ike as well as Orman sitting in the best positions with fuel. If we do get some caution laps, which we have not yet had a caution, though we did have an incident early on, that would probably leave Pearson and Mills as well as Levine still able to win this race in first, second, and third. But as it looks now, if we go green and the fuel numbers are the way that they are, all 3 of these drivers may, in fact, without really high fuel savings, all 3 of these drivers are probably going to have to make an extra pit stop, and a lot of these other drivers will not. So just something to watch out for. The strategy continues to evolve, and of course it all depends. If we have 5 caution periods, all this strategy could be out the window. Nevertheless, Taylor Mills there in 3rd place on track, now battling with Matthew Levine. I'm sure Mills deciding that Levine probably holding him up on track and he wants to go faster. Not exactly the right strategy that you would want to employ, going side by side with a driver if you don't want the group behind to catch you. Nevertheless, like I said, if you are being held up, you got to do something about it. So we look just a little ways back up the track, and it's Mark Johnston. You can see on the graphic there, Johnston coming in on lap 31, so he's probably capable, with some good fuel saving, of being able to make it to the end. However, he's not fuel saving very much at the moment, even if he is in a higher fuel map, because he's not exactly right up behind somebody trying to take his foot out of the throttle and save fuel. Oscar Fredrickson, however, is sitting just behind, and Fredrickson up 2 spots so far, looking great today. Fredrickson representing Norway very well. Thomas Christensen. One of our Swedish drivers in the field. He's just behind. And there we see an incident behind.
Yellow, yellow.
It's yellow, and we have two drivers in the crash. I can't quite get the camera to focus on it. We'll figure that one out. So interesting. The yellow came out and our software there. That was somebody who was involved. Who was that? Max Hawk. Our software usually has a note that's red that says someone's crashed. Today it chose not to give us that, so we had to figure out who it was. Max Hawk there, apparently in the crash. Let's see if we can back it up from Hawk's perspective as he continues around turn 3. I think he's going to try to get it into the pits. And so this will really save those drivers who were at the front. Can't get it into the pits. This is one of those situations where you want it to turn, but that car ain't gonna turn. I don't There we go. It isn't pretty, folks, but it's coming down pit road to get fixed. Unfortunately, Max Hawk having a great race today. And so we'll go back to that. Let's see if we can back it up on track. Let's see if we can figure out exactly what went wrong for Max. This was it looked like they lost it off of turn 1. Apologize for just doing this on screen since I don't have a note to go back to. Actually, maybe we can go back to this. Let's try this. Okay, so here's Max Hawk on the inside of Michael Grossberger, and there he just slides out a little bit and touches Grossberger back across the track and into the wall. So that indeed caused a massive issue for himself. Let's see if he was the only one who got caught in that. I'm not sure. Again, I apologize for just playing it back. But so what happened to Grossberger? I think Grossberger ended up on the inside. You can find him. Oh boy, my software having so much fun today. So here's what happened to Grossberger. Touches the inside wall. Is it drivable? I guess it's still drivable, so he drives away from the incident. And there you can see struggling there. So anyway, back to the live picture, and it's Thomas Christensen who's in the lead now, as the others have now pitted. So Christensen and Ike with Orman in third, Turner in fourth. Go back to the wider picture, and you can see the drivers on screen. So Philip Lee now up to 5th place. He last pitted on lap 32. And you can see this on your screen here. A number of drivers, including Johnston there in 6th place, choosing to come down and make their next stop, take fresh tires, and fill up with fuel. So in terms of who's got the advantage now, I would look at the driver sitting in 6th place, Mark Johnston, as he is the first of the drivers to have just pitted. And he'll have those fresh tires where some of the others are going to be racing on 10-lap-old tires, 10-year-old tires. So, once again, we have a moment. I'd like to thank everybody for watching live. And, yeah, we got a shout-out over on YouTube for using the track map. It's right there in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Appreciate it. We've got so many good new features for VirtualRacing.Network headed your way, and we try to unveil them sort of one a week per league or per series that we're covering. So it's kind of slow to build them in, but we hope you're enjoying it as we continue to grow our capabilities here and add new software into the mix, be able to bring you some new graphics packages as well as some higher quality streaming going forward. And yeah, so 18 people watching from around the world. We do appreciate it. A lot of our friends from the IndyCar Discord appreciate you guys joining us, as well as obviously lots of the friends, family, supporters, teammates from PMRL, anyone else catching us over on YouTube. Of course, you can catch official PMRL is their handle. That's the Prime Meridian Racing League over on Twitter. And you can also catch us over on Twitter as well as on Facebook. And of course, our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and like this video so you get more of these races and lots more IndyCar action flying your way each week. We cover 3 different series leagues at the moment, and we'll be adding more. As we watch, it's Thomas Christensen leading us back to the green flag after that caution. Andreas Eich in second and Jesper Orman. So we start lap 45 of round 6 here from Pocono. You can see Orman in third place, already kind of looking to the inside, thinking about it. We did see a little bit of movement. Here is Christian Malcorrect, David Soranzo just in front, and now down the inside. Is that Magnus Anderson? No, I believe that's Sam Blackwood trapped in the middle there. But we look back up front, and it's Ike still just in front of Orman, separating. It's a Three Crowns Racing with a Team Talent burger. Team Talent sandwich. As Philip Lee ducks back in. Matthew Levine, Philip Lee, Taylor Mills. Number of cars fighting it out for 6th place. Getting really close there on the exit of 1. And Mills dives down to the inside. So he'll move up into 5th. Quite exciting stuff. Mills in the blue car there. And Philip Lee in the Team Spirit box. Much lighter blue car. Mark Johnson just behind in the pink and white. David Soranzo trying to make up ground on him. Soranzo now up into 8th. So the 4th place in the championship driver, Soranzo, trying to make some headway, but up front, it's still a 3-way fight for first as Mills has arrived at the front. Mills taking over with those fresh tires. He's one of the drivers that did stop, and he's right to the front as we see 2 drivers in the wall. I think it's Soranzo is one of them. And it is David Soranzo and Oscar Fredrickson. Oh, these 2 drivers were having such a great run of it. We'll see if we can dig up where that happened. They were involved in a battle. Let's go back and see Oscar Fredrickson. And there you can see Soranzo just comes up the track. Nowhere to go for Fredrickson. He was on the outside, and unfortunate for him. So let's see if we can back it up and tell exactly what happened. If there was anything to start that. Looked like Johnston in front. Soranzo looks to the inside, not able to get it done there. Soranzo just kind of drifts up the track. Maybe thinks that he was clear of Fredrickson. Not sure. But both drivers suffering heavy damage. We'll need to tow it back into the pits possibly, or you see one driver cutting some grass there. So we go back. Live picture, and Soranzo in the pits, still trying to get that thing into the pit box, it looks like. Fredrickson also sitting in the pits. So rough for him. And we go back and take a look at the front. Now, Is anybody taking advantage of this caution? I do see that I don't see anybody thus far besides Soranzo and Fredrickson, but there we see, is that Christensen? No, it looked like somebody, I think that was Orman, sorry, Orman, who looked like he was trying to fake some people out. That's a frequent strategy, but there Connor Pearson rolling the dice a little bit, coming in for a pit stop. Now he'll be in the favored position as far as having the freshest tires. Now we're just on lap 40. We're working lap 49 now. So this there's of course no way to stretch it so that you can do that on one, like you won't have to come in and get a pit stop. Everybody is going to have to come in and pit again before the end. But if you're somebody like Connor Pearson, who maybe didn't have anything else that he could throw at it per se, and he wanted to do something a little different, well, this is a good way to do it. Put yourself on some different strategy, get some more tires, some more fuel. If you had a lot of yellow flags, could you possibly save enough? Yeah, it's possible. If we had like 3 or 4 more yellow flags, it's possible to save enough fuel. But those are the gambles that you throw. You just don't know what it's going to take to pull one off, and that's why the light's still on the pace car, so we're going to do at least one more lap here. But that's why the real life IndyCar series is so exciting to watch. It's why we love this kind of racing, and of course it's why we love now watching the PMRL every Wednesday, because these drivers are very skilled and absolutely know their stuff when it comes to strategy. I mean, I personally have not raced against everybody here in the field, but just several of them that I have raced against. For example, Christensen and Orman and Andreas Eick. These drivers they race every week. They're always racing, always doing Indy Road, IndyCar iRacing series. They're in leagues. They're in the fixed series. They're out there multiple races per week, executing strategy, learning how to use the weight jacker, the ARBs, etc. And so it's not really surprising to see them up at the front, always executing their strategy the best, always executing strategy at a high level, and they're generally the benchmarks. Now, somebody who was not in the race today, of course, is your championship leader, Will Lyon. Now, Will not around. I think this would have been a race that he would have been able to do excellently in, but he's not in it today. But I'm just in that same category of drivers who get lots and lots of experience and manage to week in and week out, find new ways of going faster and optimizing these setups. It's not a surprise for us to be able to see these drivers really be able to squeak out the last few drops out of these fuel tanks and plan it out all in their head, with other drivers in their ears, with their spotters, etc. So I hope you're enjoying it at home. Obviously, I am. I love this stuff, whether I'm watching it or I'm doing it. And so do all of these racers out there. We've got Taylor Mills leading us back to the green flag in front of a sold-out crowd here in Pocono. Back to green on lap 50. We're halfway done with round 6. PMRL's first season. Looks pretty much 1-2 file there as we see Mills head into turn 1 with Christensen behind and Andreas Eick in third. Eick under attack. Actually, that's Eick trying to attack on Orman, and so Orman now in third. As we look further back, it's Matthew Turner who's back up into fifth. He was our pole sitter, has now slid back into fifth, but Turner working his way forward again. See if he's got anything for the end of this one. Phil Lee, one of the couple of Americans in the field. He's currently finds himself in 6th. 10 spaces gained for today. He's happy about that, I'm sure. We look back at Mark Johnston also climbing a spot, and Christian Malkarek now in 8th, gaining 4 spots today. He's got Matthew Levine all over his rear bumper, though, and Levine dives to the inside. So Levine not able to claim that position. Malkarek holding strong on the outside of turn 3. And Levine around the outside. Can he get it done this time? Go by so fast, it's hard to tell, but he sure did. So move Levine up, though it's tough to say that Malkarek is done. I'm sure he isn't. So Mills leads us on to lap 54. And it's just a beautiful sunny day here in Pocono. Let's see what the temperatures come up to. If you're looking forward, like Mr. Mills is, it's, you know, it looks like you got no troubles in the world. Just clear, open track in front. It's 70, what does that say? 76 degrees on track. And, yeah, it's, there's no problems. I mean, 76 degrees, you're not going to be wearing your tires very much. Not much to worry about. Probably nice and cool in the cockpit. Taylor Mills probably drinking the beverage of his choice. Just out there for what's the equivalent of a Sunday drive, I'm sure. No, actually, all these competitors, that's the thing about watching these races on TV, is we see Christensen and Orman back together again, battling it out for second place, or to see which teammate of the two at Three Crowns Racing will be at the front. Nevertheless, you know, it always looks that way on screen. It looks like it's so easy, but these drivers, every one of them, going to be optimizing their lines every single lap, every corner, analyzing everything about what they're doing. So we see Turner and Phil Lee having quite a battle here for 5th. As Turner down to the inside, now he gets sucked up, and Lee goes to the front with Johnston and Klessens jumping in front of him. So Thomas Klessens now up into 8th place, or into 6th place, excuse me. Klessens, somebody we haven't even been talking about all race long, but marching to the front. See there the Team Spirit Box driver listing the 12 hours of Spa, surviving the 12 hours of Spa as his one of his big accomplishments, but certainly hanging tough at Pocono in the PMRL race is also a big accomplishment to list. And so Klessens has gained 8 spots today, and this driver just behind Matthew Levine has actually gained 12 spots thus far. So Levine and Philip Lee battling it out for the Hard Charger Award today. Lee up 11 spots and Levine up 12 in 7th place. But back at the front, it continues. You just see this long line headed down the front straight, and they're nose to tail. It's nobody wins here. You just keep going side by side, and nobody can really go anywhere. But it's Taylor Mills in the lead with Thomas Christensen 2nd, Jesper Orman 3rd, Andreas Eichen in 4th, and Philip Lee in 5th. What a racetrack, what a battle. It's almost like, oh, and we saw Orman kind of going a little wide there, as we see Eichen Christensen kind of jockeying a bit, and Philip Lee now to the inside of Andreas Ike. So now he tries his luck on Thomas Christensen. Philip Lee does. Not so fast. I believe Ike also holding tough on the outside. Boy, that move did not work out for Phil Lee. And that's how fast it goes away. That's how fast it goes away. That's what I mean is, you know, it looks like these drivers are just out there just driving in a Sunday drive. Just, it's a nice, easy cruise around the track. Go. Stay in the draft with your friends. But you make one wrong move and just get the line even just a little bit wrong, or have to back out just a little bit. So you see that huge draft that Phil Lee picks up headed down there towards turn 1. But if you just get it wrong just a little bit, you're going to see a whole train of cars go past you. And that's how difficult and close it is. It's not exclusive to the PMRL, but the Dallara IR18 IndyCar, really, really difficult to master. I think easy to pick up somewhat if you're used to fast cars, and especially if you're used to formula cars, but extremely difficult to master. The setups are very complicated. So we see Klessens now moving up just in front of Ike. So Klessens up into 4th, up 10 spots today, just having a heck of a run. So we look to see where Klessens will end up. We'll take a look a little bit further back at some of the drivers that we haven't been able to focus quite as much on today. Michael Grossberger there, unfortunately, having a moment earlier. And Connor Pearson now trying to make his way back forward. Possibly has damage to that car, but Pearson, Grossberger right on his gearbox. It's, boy, that's close. Really close racing here. I feel like they could have touched. Over 200 miles an hour. We're side by side here, so and there you see Sam Blackwood just behind, side by side with, I believe that Alex Salmon behind. So, no, I'm sorry, with Grossberger. So, David Soranzo finds himself in 15th. He was just up challenging. He's a 4th place driver in the points, and he's going to be really upset with how this one turned out. He had a very good run going, and now just trying to claw back and get any remaining points that he can. And there he manages to get a spot back from Grossberger. Now, of course, that is where Grossberger started, so, you know, you don't do yourself a lot of favors, and this is not, you know, criticism or indictment or anything like that, but, I mean, you don't do yourself a lot of favors when you do qualify in 15th. You got to work your way all the way up. Sometimes that tears up your car, your tires, etc., as we see Tim Miller fighting for 16th here. He's actually gained 5 spots on the day. He's running by himself. I'm sure that is not where the American would like to see himself at the moment. Sam Blackwood is actually down 1 lap, so he's managed, I think, to claw back 1 lap. So you see Soranzo drifting up a bit high. It's these two drivers kind of swapping back and forth. He is not on the same lap as Soranzo, so again, Blackwood not afraid to fight with cars a lap up from him. We take a look a little bit further back. Oscar Fredrickson, of course, getting into that incident not long ago with David Soranzo, no fault of his own. And Hutchinson, Max Hawk, Ebner, and Cadmore did not start the race. So if we can get back to the live picture. Nothing's changed up at the front. Still running the same way. I think all these drivers just trying to wait this one out, see how the fuel strategy game is going to finish out. Again, temperature not being that much of a factor today, it really more or less eliminates in a fixed race, it more or less eliminates the tire equation, and that's usually a really big part of these races. Who adjusts their car the best, that they save the tires for the end, is a factor just as much as who can adjust for the short-term running as well, who can be the fastest in the short run. So, but without the weather to play a factor, we won't be seeing that. So we're going to see a lot of this for the last 40 laps. About 20 cars, 15 cars, all challenging for the lead. It's actually 13 cars all in this pack. And what more could you want? 13 cars challenging for the lead out here at Pocono. 67 laps into this 100-lapper. And again, just some awesome action all day long. Great stuff from the PMRL series of drivers. So, while we can, why don't we take a look here at Mark Johnston and just for a moment see what Mark is going through out there. We'll ride along with Mark Johnston. Mark in 7th place, in a spot today. Just behind, you've got Matthew Levine, and see a lot of drivers going out very wide there. See Johnston staying to the inside. Perhaps he prefers that inside groove. As I mentioned, quite a few different lines you can really employ there in turn 3, depending on what's happening with the car and the traffic in front. Not to give away too many secrets. There you go. You see going around on the outside of Philip Lee. So Johnston in 6th place, up 2 spots now. Now this lap, as you can see, drifts much wider out in turn 3. Doesn't work the tires exactly the same way as you did the lap before, so allows you to do some balancing things. One thing I would be concerned with if I was Mark Johnston is making sure that I don't fall too far back from the car in front. As you see, he gets a little lucky with Klessens having an issue and dropping back. So we might see a pass here, but either way, you know, you have about a second of a draft that you catch on the car in front. But if you're struggling at all to stay up with these guys, or maybe you have a tiny bit of damage and you're trying to just stay with the group, that 1 inch drafting, or 1 second drafting, spelled the same way with the inch symbol. Anyway, oh, and there you see Johnston down the inside of not just one car, Klessens, but also chucking it down the inside of Ike into turn 1. But anyway, normally there's about a second, maybe upwards of a second and a half on a really fast speedway that you're going to feel the draft. But if your car is damaged at all, or you're suffering, that number gets less and less and less and less, because you need to stay right up behind the cars in front. So I always get a little bit nervous when I fall back like more than, say, a third to 4/10 of a second, because if they're all in the draft together and I'm falling out of the draft, there's a good chance that I could completely fall out. Now we do have Matthew Levine and Matthew Turner into the pits. They were drivers who did stop much earlier. So they're currently sitting on pit road, taking service. See Matthew Levine, such a great finish a week ago, and he's not. I was on Matthew Turner there, and he is not driving the pace car. But these drivers having to do a green flag stop Now going down a lap, and that is not what you would want to see. Always costly to have to take those green flag stops when nobody else does. So yellow were to come out now, it might actually keep those drivers a lap down. Of course, everybody else will come into the pits for their final stop. And there we can see Jesper Orman, Thomas Christensen, Andreas Eick, Alex Salmon, Michael Grossberger into the pits, and Tim Miller still on the track. Looks like Christensen beats Eick, Salmon, and Pearson out of the pits. And what has happened to Jesper Orman? Jesper Orman down now in 14th. We'll wait all of this to cycle back around, but Orman has slid all the way back down to 14th. We didn't have a note. It's very possible that Orman he might have had a penalty, because as he's cycling back around, it says that he came into the pits twice, so that could be part of the problem. Nevertheless, look back up at the front, and it is Thomas Klessens who's in first. We're just talking about him a minute ago. He's taking over first. His last lap that he pitted was on lap 42, so your top four right now have not made their final stop. And that group is Thomas Klessens, Mark Johnston, Christian Malkorek, and Tim Miller. So we expect those drivers at any time. First driver who has made his final stop is Taylor Mills. And I'm also seeing that Thomas Christensen and Andreas Eick also having made their final stop. Now, Taylor Mills stopped on lap 74, so that puts him in great shape to go to the very end. See if we can get that pit strategy back up on the screen for you, so you can... It's so complicated with where everyone's been pitting, but there you can see it. Top four not having stopped recently to take tires. And now Klessens, Johnston, and Malkorek do stop. There's Klessens on your screen. Johnston, Malkorek. Now, here's Tim Miller will take over. Get credit for leading a lap. But of course, he has not stopped. So we'll wait for all these drivers to cycle back around. We'll get that track map up there on the screen again for you for Gail over in our chat room. Gail H, appreciate you joining us and rooting on Evo SR. Awesome to have everybody. James Lee rooting on Philip Lee. Of course, Philip Lee up and down today, right now in 9th place. So I'm sure James rooting on Philip for that top 10, maybe a top 5. Big Red over, appreciate always joining in, Big Red, on our broadcast here on VirtualRacing.Network. As Tim Miller continues to cycle around in the lead. And also, Clary over joining us, Team Spirit Box for the win. So, Big Red rooting for Tim. Tim, I'm presuming that is Tim Miller, who's on your screen. Either way, Tim, they're getting credit for leading a lap, pulling it into the pit successfully from the lead, and that will allow Klessens to take over the lead as soon as he gets back around. Now he's just in front of Taylor Mills, so this is your group fighting it out for the race win. It's Thomas Klessens to the front with Taylor Mills. You can't count him out as he dives to the inside in turn 1 and takes that position away. May have been Klessens who led the lap to start, but it was Mills who said, no, I want to lead it. And here Klessens to the inside and tunnel turn. Taylor Mills out wide, not into the wall. Gets that run off the outside of tunnel turn and on the outside of turn 3. It's Klessens on the inside. This for your race lead. And Klessens really kind of weaving there, having a bit of a moment. You can see Mills now able to open up a couple of car gap over Klessens. This is for first and second on the track. Thomas Christensen in third. Andreas Eich in fourth. Connor Pearson in fifth. Noticeably absent Jesper Orman. He was up there the whole time, but having an issue, perhaps a speeding penalty or something along those lines, dropping back, leaving his teammate Thomas Christensen up there to do battle by himself. And there you see Andreas Eich making his move down the inside of Christensen. As we go through tunnel. So just 20, now soon to be 19 laps remaining for the 6th round of the PMRL. You're watching live here on Virtual Racing Network as Mills leads Klessens and Christensen, Andreas Eich and Pearson. Changing almost faster than we can talk about it, but these 5 drivers have been battling it out in one way or another. And here we're seeing that perhaps is Philip Lee having an issue. He just slid back a little bit. When we look on screen, this is kind of your second group, your chase group, if you will, if you're into cycling. You've got Mark Johnston, Magnus. It's actually, I believe the front of this group is Connor Pearson. So Connor Pearson, Alex Salmon, Mark Johnston, Magnus Anderson and Philip Lee, as well as Matthew Turner and Jesper Orman, all part of this group, circling here with 18 laps to go, fighting it out for 5th place. So Salmon, as I mentioned before, was in the lead of the points, had a difficult accident, had a difficult last race, and then earlier today was involved in a wreck and has fought his way back forward. He's climbed 5 spots from where he started as he battles with Connor Pearson. I think he's just going to be happy with the championship potential for today's, for his points today. So we see Mark Johnston, Magnus Anderson fighting it out for 7th. Johnson on the outside in the pink, white, and black car. Anderson took a look, thought he had something, maybe not. Here just in front, it's Salmon and Pearson battling. There goes Pearson down the inside. So action everywhere. And we're seeing that Matthew Turner has had an issue. Let's go take a look at that. What has happened to Matthew Turner, who has had a problem? Looks like he's lost a wing. We'll go back. See if we can go back this far. Yeah, we can perhaps tell from here. It was Turner just getting tangled there. I'm surprised that did not bring out a yellow, but it was just behind the leader. So Turner, just getting involved in that wreck, I believe with Phil Lee, perhaps. We'll have to see if Phil Lee had a problem. Looks like he was slow, and so unfortunately, commentators curse, boy, it's like once a race, strikes again, Yeah, well, we tried to focus on Phil Lee for a minute. We had someone rooting him on in the chat room, and unfortunately, we just spoiled his race. So, way to go, Trevor and VirtualRacing.Network. Anyway, here's Alex Salmon and Mark Johnston knee-deep in a battle here with 15 laps to go. Connor Pearson just in front, and then we've got this four-way battle, actually now five-way battle with... Well, it's a four, let's see. We've got Mills, Klessens, Christensen, and Andreas Eick all within 0.3 of a second of each other. Another two drivers hanging on to this group. But Mills up front in your blue and white machine. And Klessens, the black and what appears to be teal. Just 14 to go as the drivers behind get so wide. It's Christensen and Eick. See, from Eick's point of view, how this will shape up for our last 13 laps. Eick looking to the inside in tunnel turn, I think just trying to set his car and stay in fourth place. Make sure that he's right where he wants to be to strike for the end of this. Now you've got, if you're somebody, well, actually, well, that's quite a gap back to Pearson. I was thinking he was much closer. So you see how far that gap has grown. It's now 3.22 seconds up to this front group of Andreas Eick, and now I'm seeing Connor Pearson slowly chipping into that. Now just 2.9 seconds back, so we'll see if that grows or shrinks. If it does shrink, Connor Pearson is leading that bigger, again, we would call it a chase group in cycling, of four drivers. So that's Alex Salmon, who's now up in front of that group, as he's just gotten around Connor Pearson. And then just behind that, Magnus Anderson and Mark Johnston going side by side. You can see Christian Malkorek has kind of dropped back off of this group now. So, impossible to catch your breath here. I hope you've already got your beverage of choice in your hand if you're on your sofa at home, because we've got about 10 laps to go this next time by, and I think we're going to be in for a heck of a shootout if somebody doesn't get something wrong here, because these drivers have been very patient, but at some point the patience hat comes off and the gloves come off too. It's time to go do some battle here on the track and see who's got the car to be up in front and pull it into victory lane at the end of this. So, Mills leads Klessens and Christensen and Eick and Pearson. That's your top five here at Pocono for round 6 of the PMRL first season. So we get into just 9 laps to go. Again, these drivers just kind of hanging on to their spots. Or are they? Christensen down to the inside of Klessens and Mills into turn 1. Christensen to the lead. So now I think drivers, now that we're inside of 10 laps, drivers going to start getting a little desperate as Christensen falls back and Mills moves back to the front. There you see a late move. Sorry, we kind of lost it there. There you see a late move. So it's Christensen back to the front and Mills Now battling side by side through the tunnel turn. Mills pulling ahead with Christensen slotting back into second, Klesson into third. Now Christensen on the outside tries to get that run off of the corner. We've got passes happening all over the track. Pearson getting by Salmon, and now Christensen going back into the lead over Mills. Malkorek and Soranzo in the middle of a battle here as they go through turn one. This for 10th spot on the track. Here you can see Malkorek diving to the inside again. And there you see Pearson and Alex Salmon fighting it out, with Salmon just up in front. So as these drivers look on, you can see way up there in front, that's the lead group. It's 3 seconds in front of Alex Salmon, so if these drivers want to swap draft and try and catch that group in front, they might be able to. But in the meantime, you've just got Thomas Christensen and Taylor Mills duking it out through turn two. It's getting real close and hairy out there. Christensen in second place and Klesson's in third. You could throw a blanket over all three of these drivers. It is so close as Christensen diving back to the inside of Mills again. And Klesson's, will he make it 3 wide? No, happy to sit behind. So these drivers have been battling like this for most of this race. Now we look at the second group here. Will they stay attached to the first group? It's Ike. The car just in front of Ike is not on the lead lap. And the car just behind Ike also not on the lead lap. I believe that's Phil Lee behind. So Ike sandwiched there between 2 lap cars. Can't seem to get out of it. He's going to need to if he wants to have a shot at this win. So we look at Christensen going down the inside of Mills once again up to the front. So all these drivers with 4 laps to go. There you see the weaving on the backstretch beginning. It's Mills to the inside. Through the tunnel turn. What will we see shake out in the last 3 laps of this one? It's been a nail-biter so far. So we see Taylor Mills bring it across the start-finish stripe in the lead, just 3 to go. Christensen back down to the inside as they head through 1. Christensen absolutely wants this win. I think wants to chat with us in the victory circle at the end. What a hard-fought race this has been. We hope it can stay clean till the end as Christensen and Mills really dicing. Keeping Klesson's just behind as we come around turn 3. Just 2 more laps remain for these drivers. Mills now dives back to the inside again. Who will it be? It's Mills into 1. Andreas Ike can't seem to do anything with the 2 other drivers that he's surrounded with there. He won't be a factor in this thus far. We'll see if that changes. He has managed to get back up to the front of that group, though, as Christensen moves forward and Klessons tries to join him. Can't do it. So it's still Christensen, Mills, Klessons, Ike, and then Salmon. Salmon has dropped 4.5 seconds back. He won't be a factor for the end of this one. So we'll keep it here for the final lap as Mills and Christensen head into turn 1. It's Mills to the inside to the lead. Christensen goes to the outside. Tries to catch the draft as they head up towards the tunnel turn. Might be lap traffic just ahead. Christensen down the inside through tunnel. and Mills gets caught out on the outside. Klessens just behind. They weave on the backstretch, headed in through turn 3. One final time, Mills to the inside. So close you can taste it. They make contact, I'm sure of it. And at the start-finish stripe, it's Taylor Mills with an astounding victory, a gutsy move in turn 3, and Mills takes the victory, robs the victory from Thomas Christensen, and Thomas Klessens in third place. What a finish, as Andreas Eick brings it home fourth, Alex Salmon in fifth. What an astounding finish to that race. Absolutely incredible stuff. So, oh my goodness, looking over in the chat room, Big Red says it best. Wow, for sure. A lot of you rooting on some of your favorite drivers, but it was Taylor Mills. Well, let's go back and take a look at that one. Let's just watch it from the white flag. Mills was on the outside. Goes to the inside on Christensen. By this point, we're still unsure what's going to happen. I mean, frankly, we've got 2 full more corners to go. Anything could happen here. And of course it does, as Christensen gets the slingshot run down into the tunnel turn. And at this point, you're wondering, Mills gets shuffled to the outside with Klessens just hanging back. Will Klessens have anything to say about it? Will Mills even be able to get this position back? And we go on board with Mills as he somehow manages to avoid Thomas Klessens, who drifted out just wide of, Christensen, who drifted out just wide at the apex. I have no idea how he avoided the right rear tire, but what a call to send it in turn 3, and Mills absolutely steals one from Christensen, and Klessens didn't really have much he could say about it there at the end. Just wasn't room for 3 cars to fit on, but you can see Mills possibly going to do some donuts for us here. What an astounding race. Hope that was exciting for you as it was for me sitting here in the booth. I got to catch my breath after that one. But we'll take a look at the results, the final results here on your screen coming up in just a second. We can get rid of some of this other junk. And that's not the race results, is it? There's the race results. It's Taylor Mills with your win. Thomas Christensen in second. Thomas Klessens in third. So the T show, all T named people up in the top 3 on the podium, and Trevor calling the race. It's a T lockout. Anyway, Andreas Eick in 4th place. Alex Salmon in 5th. Magnus Anderson 6th. Connor Pearson in 7th. Christian Malkarek with a great finish there in 8th place. David Soranzo in 9th. Michael Grossberger in 10th. And Tim Miller. So that's your top 10. Tim Miller just outside the top 10. Tim leading for a moment, but then not on the right strategy at the very end to be up there in the mix. Jesper Orman was up in the mix today. Would love to know kind of what happened to Orman. Perhaps we'll get a chance to ask to Thomas Christensen if he knows, but Orman unable to capitalize on his strength today and ending up in 12th. Mark Johnston in 13th. Philip Lee in 14th. Matthew Levine 15th. Sam Blackwood 16th. Oscar Fredrickson 17th. Matthew Turner 18th. And the rest of the finishers, of course, Matthew Turner, he was the pole sitter and finished 2 laps down. I'm sure he'll be very disappointed in that. Mark Hutchinson, not the race to remember for sure, and Max Hawk and Pascal Ebner also not having excellent races today. So hopefully we will get a chance to chat with one or more of our podium finishers, and I'm looking over here and I do see 2 of our finishers have joined us in the broadcast room. So Thomas Christensen, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
All right. So Thomas, You know, we might as well just skip forward to the end there. I seen you in approaching turn 3. It looked like you were in the command of the race and you were going to win the race. What happened there in turn 3, and how did he not hit your left rear, or did he?
No hit. That was very, very close. And but I mean, I got to a point where I didn't want to close the door too much, because then would be a bit too much of a block. So I gave him the room that was needed, and I hoped that maybe I could get a run out of the corner to get him down the straight anyway. But yeah, it was super close to the finish line, and it was super cool race, close racing with Taylor.
It was so close all race long. In early stages, it looked like it was you and your teammate Jesper Orman. It looked honestly like it was going to be one of the other races in iRacing that we see, with you, Jesper Orman, and Andreas Eick just sort of dominating at the front. But it broke open partway through. And what do you know what happened to Jesper Orman? Just because I don't think we'll get a chance to talk with him, because
he had a bit of a fueling issue in the last pit stop, so that's what happened for him. So he had to drop back a bit and save fuel, and then couldn't come back up from there, unfortunately. So.
Well, very unfortunate for him. Your teammate kind of left you to do your own work up front. You guys may have had a team strategy to employ and try and get your way past Mr. Mills, but you seem to have it all locked down. Were you where you wanted to be there for that last lap? Did you want, it seemed like you made the pass coming out of turn 1, you were holding it in through turn 2, and then Mills just got a heck of a run through 3. Did you want to be in the lead, or would you have wanted to be in Mills' position to make that pass?
No, I wanted to be in the lead down to turn 3. So, but as I said, I couldn't close the door good enough, so he could slip it in on the inside there. So, unfortunately, but that's how it is.
Well, Thomas,
I'm pleased. I'm pleased with P2. So.
I was just going to say, I mean, a fantastic P2. Congratulations to you. Must feel pretty good to bring the Three Crowns Racing machine in front, as we see there on your screen, just how close that was. It seems like he robbed the win from you. I really thought we were going to see your first win here on VirtualRacing.Network, but nevertheless, a heck of a race today. You kept it clean. You were so fast all day. Could have very easily been your win. Just congratulations, and what a heck of a good job today. Now we've got Mid-Ohio coming up next week. You looking forward to that?
Nope. I'm only running the ovals, so I'm not doing any. I'll be joining. I think it's Auto Club, the last oval race. So I'll be joining that one for sure, but not Mid-Ohio.
So this was the race to win, and you got second, but nevertheless, good points for Three Crowns Racing, especially with your teammate kind of dropping back there, holding down the fort for the team. So congrats on your second place, and look forward to seeing you then at Auto Club. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor, and great broadcast as always, and congratulations to Taylor again.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have you on. Congratulations on your second place, Thomas. And so we have the graphic up on the screen that you can see the upcoming schedule. But in the meantime, we do have a chance to talk to, I wasn't sure if he was going to be our race victor, but Taylor Mills did end up in Victory Circle. They're pulling that blue machine down into Victory Circle at the moment. Taylor, can you hear me there in the broadcast booth?
Yeah, I got you, dude.
Hey, man. So, it was exciting. You kind of came into the picture about maybe a quarter of the way into the race. We saw you kind of creep into the picture towards the front, and we weren't sure, you never know in the early stages how much that early race pace is going to mean anything at the end. But you were strong for the whole rest of the race. I mean, you really looked like you belonged at the front. You were in the lead for much of it. And then at the very end, I still am kind of at a loss of words. You were in the lead, then you weren't in the lead. Thomas Christensen took the lead. Then you somehow managed in turn 3 to pull off what I can only deem to be a miracle of not tapping his right rear. But you sent that thing hard, and you took the victory here in Pocono. Congratulations. How did you do it?
Yeah, she doesn't drive too bad, does she? It was something else. Like, coming into Pocono, I knew that it's a track that I get along with. So I knew that as long as I could get to grips with the car and get to grips with the setup, then I'd have at least a chance of getting up there and being in with a chance of decent points. But I didn't really think there was a chance for the win really until we kind of got to that quarterway mark as well. And when that first caution came out, that kind of saved my race. But yeah, turn 3, like it's something after I'd noticed Tom was staying in front of me into turn 2 after he was getting his passes done early into 1. I was starting to practice the line and starting to practice and find where the grip is. So it just kind of gave me that opportunity right at the end there to find the grip, keep it flat, and just pull the car around the corner on the curb. And after, as you saw the previous lap, where I got the exit out of 3 and it kind of took me to the line, I knew that if I had the grip on the inside, I could get the run to the line at least. And yeah, it's just a case of seeing what happens as the race goes on, trying different things, and hoping for the best.
Hoping for the best. Well, I mean, there was so much side-by-side action on track. It was it was very difficult to keep track of where everybody was at because there was so many passing, so many 2 wide, 3 wide going through the whole field. Nevertheless, keeping the car clean and then discretion being a better part of valor, watching you take your foot out of the throttle when necessary and letting some cars get by you. It is that kind of balance through the whole race that keeps you in it. Alex Salmon suffering an issue earlier, several of the other drivers you would expect to be right up there at the front, even Connor Pearson having some issues and dropping back. Nevertheless, you kept it clean and you were there at the end. We're just going to keep coming back to that move that you sent into turn 3. That is a classic move for a race win, and I mean, just kind of an exclamation point on your awesome day of racing. So congratulations there. Anything special you worked on to get ready for today's race? Did you practice a bunch? You said you loved coming in with Pocono.
So Pocono, not many people know, Pocono is the track where I took my first ever iRacing over win. I did it in an IndyCar, in Indy Fixed, so I had that behind me, and obviously that has kind of fueled my love for the track. But yeah, the practice-wise, I turned a few laps after the terrible show up from me in Detroit. Turned some laps after that race. I was like, okay, 10 laps in clean air, car feels fine, whatever. The Monday is really where it started to all come together, because obviously we have the hosted test race. And we're doing massive dirty air trains, practicing all that. And then after that, I said to my boys in the team, I said, on Wednesday, you, me, all of us, we're going into a practice session an hour before the race, and we're running laps. We're sitting in dirty air, we're running laps, and honestly, it was that. Like, I couldn't have won this race without my team behind me.
So, of course, your racing team being Taylor Mills Racing.
Would you believe it?
So we've got Michael Grossberger and let's see who else is on your.
Alex Salmon. He's my endurance teammate. He and I have been racing together for like nearly a year now.
Absolutely. Well, what a great teammate to have. Alex Salmon, no slouch in these Indy cars. He didn't quite have what you had today, though. So obviously you figuring it out and getting those adjustments just right to stay fresh and stay on those tires. And of course, the weather kind of cooperating, it being such an early morning race, not having the weather or the tire burn off that you normally would. So what about you? We talked to Thomas Christensen just a moment ago and asked him if he was looking forward to Mid-Ohio. He says he only does ovals. What about you? You coming back for next week at Mid-Ohio, and is it a track that you're looking forward to?
I have never turned a lap of Mid-Ohio in the IndyCar. So it's going to be a case of probably chill out for the rest of the night tonight and then maybe turn a couple of laps tomorrow, see what the car and setup feels like. But I'll be coming into that race with the same level of enthusiasm I've gone into the rest of them. Supporting my team supporting me. I was working together to try and find some pace and find some speed and go from there and see if we can get a decent haul of points and retake that championship lead.
Absolutely. And of course, I'm sure you'll find your way around there. It also seems like a track that Alex Salmon is potentially going to do very well at, and also Grossberger could do well at as well. Well, congratulations on your very well-deserved victory. Fought very hard. You had so many challenges to that victory, and it wasn't won until the very last corner in the very last lap. So congratulations. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk to you much more here on broadcast. But good luck for the rest of your season, Taylor.
Thank you very much, dude. I'll go to speak to you next week.
Absolutely. Well, it's been my total pleasure to bring you the race today. This was more than I could have ever hoped for as a commentator. And of course, you were watching Round 6 live here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's Season 1, and we're so fortunate to be able to call this race. Your winner today, Taylor Mills, Thomas Christensen in second, and Thomas Klessens in third. But what an amazing pass for the win. And on the very last lap and on the very final corner, you couldn't ask for anything more. It's been my pleasure. Again, I'm Trevor Greenfield for VirtualRacing.Network, thanking you for joining us from around the world. Make sure to like this video and subscribe over on our YouTube channel. You can catch PMRL over on Twitter, official PMRL, and look them up on iRacing if you want to join the league. As for us, we're over on Facebook, Twitter, and of course YouTube, so join us there. Until next week, same time, same place, VirtualRacing.Network. So long, everyone. See you from Mid-Ohio. Bye-bye.